Hi, welcome to the Creative Podcast. Glad you're here today. Here we are. Hello, hello.
Can you see me?
I can see you.
Woo-hoo! We did it.
Jennifer.
Hi, Gilli.
Welcome to my party. Welcome to my party.
I didn't bring the booze, but I do have the mouse.
Oh, nice. And I have my tea as well. So we're having a cup of tea together.
We're getting cozy.
It's fantastic.
I feel like we should talk like this, really soft and like breathy and NPR radio-ish, don't you? No.
We can shout.
Woo!
Well, I'm so glad that you're able to come to my podcast. And for those who are listening and not watching, I have a wonderful guest here today, Jennifer Julian, and she's wearing this pink shirt and purple scarf.
Well, I'm wearing a scarf because it's freaking cold in Los Angeles, believe it or not. It's like this blustery Chicago wind that we're getting, and I don't know why. So yes, I get to wear my scarf, which I don't often get to do down here.
No, it's awesome. You look great.
Thank you.
Well, let me introduce everyone to you. So Jennifer Julian, I've known her for a long time. I'm so excited that she's on the show. She's a writer, producer, artist, philanthropist. There's nothing that Jennifer hasn't done. That's the key. She's done so many amazing things. But I will say that she's what I love about her is she's an entrepreneur, so that's why she's here, at the helm of a female-driven company called Junebug Pictures, and she's focusing on shifting perspectives and sparking imagination, striving to shine a light on the forgotten and unrepresented historical-based heroines. That is amazing. As well as introducing fictional tales highlighting remarkable women both in front of and behind the footlights. Jennifer has an absolutely multifaceted career, colorful and diverse, beginning with music production, then moving into performance. Now, this is not just any performance. Prestigious venues like Carnegie Hall, the Hollywood Bowl, Broadway, opposite Robin Williams,
Stop.
Idol, which
Stop
is
it.
where I have done some work with her, but I digress. Sydney Pollack, Art Garfunkel,
Yes,
Mike Nichols, just to name a few. I mean, the names.
You got to name drop in showbiz. I mean, you have to. Like, it's a prerequisite, right? No,
unbelievable. So performer, and then her voice has acted in more than 250 commercial, film, television, and web programs. What does that mean? She's a voiceover artist as well?
Yes, I started as a jingle singer and a voiceover artist. When you want a hot meal, it's gotta be quick. What are you going to pick? Hot Pockets. That was my first jingle. But Gilli, you forgot to mention you and I actually performed. You and I performed together, and you're on that roster of greatness as well. I hold you to that standard.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But yeah, and then you went on and became an on-air host and producer for a radio station. So like, I mean, it's crazy. And now you're this writer, producer, entrepreneur, running your own production business company. I mean, it just, what is the next thing for you?
Well, thank you for all of that. I mean, because it's kind of weird to listen to things about yourself, because I'm the kind of person that's like, oh, that means nothing, right? But then hearing it, it's like, oh yeah, I've done some cool stuff. But I would really call myself a creative catalyst, because I believe that we all have this innate creative power within us. And when we're tapped in, that's when we're our most connected. And so that's just manifested in a lot of different ways for me. I've given that to myself, but I've also given that to others through my nonprofit work with the Share Your Voice Foundation and
Right.
creating and running empowerment through performance workshops. I had a chance to go to the Slovak Republic and be a cultural ambassador for the US for through the Fulbright program. And that was exquisite in and of itself, because that was taking an arts-based pedagogy, to get all academic. That was taking an arts-based methodology and teaching it to university students who were wanting to be teachers and translators. So it's just this common theme of the arts and creativity, this
Mm-hmm.
thread of
Mm-hmm.
promoting that and sort of
Mm-hmm.
an activism around that, that has just been kind of the fabric, the thread that's the through line for me. So
Very
yeah, I call myself a creative catalyst for that very reason. And so all of these things, whether it manifests in, you know, like stage performance, film, TV, writing, I'm on to new ventures now, writing a book and like
yeah.
doing all sorts of things. As you know, it manifests itself in different ways, right? Creative
Yep.
entrepreneur. And I
That's
think that
what it is.
we can't be one thing anymore, whereas
Yep.
it used to be you got to be an expert at one thing. And like if you do too many different things, excuse me, and you're a Renaissance person,
Yeah.
then wow, you can't make up your mind, right? Or you can't pick one thing, you're split. And it was seen as not so positive. And now I think it's, you just have to be that way,
You
in
have
my
to be able
opinion.
to do it all, and it's
Yeah.
okay to do it all. I have to get my dog. She keeps growling. I'll
Mm.
have to show the dog to everyone who's watching.
Hi, Bella.
She's just growling away, going, "Mommy, I want to be in this podcast." That's crazy. There's Bella.
Hi. Oh, she got a haircut.
And for those who can't see Bella, she's this white mini poodle mix, Portuguese water dog mix, cocker spaniel. So had to go get her. Now she's going to sit on the nice white fluffy couch in the studio. So I've been looking at strong female archetypes in the media, technology, and entertainment industries.
Okay.
And what makes them successful or challenged to become successful. So this podcast has been dedicated kind of like looking at that. And, you know, last Sunday I was not watching the Super Bowl insofar as the football. My husband is all over that.
Yeah.
But I always have to watch the halftime show.
For sure.
And
the ads. And the ads. But
yeah, the ads are pretty funny too. And of course, Rihanna was performing the halftime show. Let's take a look at Rihanna performing. I'm just gonna share my screen. We're gonna play this. Yeah, so
yeah,
that's her.
go Riri.
And you know, I've been seeing a lot of posts about the show.
Blowing up.
Like, it's actually been quite controversial.
Yeah, it has. Some people love it. Some people hate it. It is really black and white, don't you think?
Yeah, it's been triggering. I think that's a key word there. So I wanted to have a chat with you about, you know, what this is all about. I guess I'll come from my take, and then I'd love to hear yours, and we're just kind of have a conversation.
Sure.
And again, it's like, so I guess the basis of this is, I saw this woman, strong woman who has been really successful in the music business. I mean, Rihanna is one of the top female artists.
Billionaire.
Yeah. And her whole, which you didn't see on the footage right now, but her whole thing was she was sharing a message, which is, I'm pregnant again. I'm pregnant.
Of course. And if you missed that, you are blind. I'm just saying. But yes, okay.
I know, it's funny. I was watching some like morning show news guy guy, and he was talking about like, well, is she pregnant? I'm like, yeah. It was like, it's like that, and she made a whole show about that, and
well, let me just preface this. Some people thought she was post
oh,
delivery, postpartum. They well, not postpartum, but they thought that she had like it was after the baby weight and she couldn't lose the baby weight or whatever. They didn't realize she was in progress with that.
I see. Okay. Yeah, because like, but anyway, what I got from her is I'm proud of who I am. I'm showing off my belly. Now, the second thing about her is she performed the heck out of the show insofar as vocally. She's got a okay voice, but it's strong. And then she had this attitude, which is kind of the Rihanna thing. And finally, I'll say, um, she's not a big dancer, but she wasn't dancing. But she had this amazing set of androgynous, you don't know if they're male, female dancers around her, and it was all about them, right? The whole thing was visually, to me, it was actually visually quite exciting. So when I go onto social the next day, I mean, she's getting lambasted. Like, I'm like, what? She didn't, someone said she didn't dance enough. I'm like, she's pregnant. She was upset. She wasn't happy. Well, that's just Rihanna. So I was like, wanting to get your take on this because I'm conflicted. And I think that the reason why I'm conflicted is we have these archetypes, these heroines in public, these celebrities that are representing female strength in business, so-called happens to be entertainment business, and yet she's the first to get, criticized. Now, it happened to Madonna also at the Grammys. I don't really want to go there right now. We could, but let's stay with Rihanna. Just want to throw it to you. What do you think was going on?
I definitely have thoughts. First, let me tell you what I thought worked about that performance. She's just a stunning vision. She could do nothing. She could stand there and she just has a mesmerizing presence about her. And for her to be catapulted in the air on heels, it was just mind-blowing. And I felt like, pregnant or not, like let's take pregnancy out of the mix. What I loved is the fact that she was not scantily clad and feeling like she had to, not that that's a bad thing, Beyonce works that well, but she didn't feel like she had to conceal any kind of a bump that she had going on. In fact, she was way proud of that.
Yeah, she was.
And
it was her whole performance.
It was her whole thing. And I got that from the get-go. I'm just like the plastic nursing thing. I was just like, whoa, she is so pregnant. And I love that. And I love that she was rocking the pregnancy. Just overall in general. And the backup dancers were giving it their all and everything. And I think we live in a culture of criticism. So it's so easy to point out like the flaws first and what wasn't working. But I think it's super important to celebrate the fact that she is a tremendous force in the music industry. And she's a fierce, badass woman that is up there promoting her music and herself. I didn't need the crotch grabbing. I never need the crotch grabbing. I mean, like, to me, that's a, like, you have to put it out there. That's not really owning it. So that I could have done without. That was a little too much for me, over the top. And then the other thing that wasn't working for me was, as a performer, you have a responsibility to ignite your audience, I think, especially in the frickin' Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So for me, her style is like, I don't really care. I'm bored. And if she looks bored and she looks like she doesn't give a shit, I know, I'm sorry, this is, are you bleeping this, or are we not swearing on this? I can't remember. No swearing?
You can swear.
Okay. If she looks like she doesn't give a shit, and I know that's been interpreted as a sense of calm, for me, it wasn't a sense of calm. It just felt like it was, even if it wasn't dynamic enough for me to be riveted, as like I was with Bruno Mars, who was like, ooh, rocking it. You know, I was in it with him. This, I was on the outside observing, and she didn't pull me in. So those are the only things that I will say about that.
I've got two questions there. So you mentioned Bruno Mars.
Yeah.
Now, I love men, I love women, I love any identity, gender identity you wish to take. So this is not about gender. However, I want to kind of go there. Like, was Bruno Mars giving it because he's like a male pop rocker, or was he just bringing it more than you thought Rihanna did, gender side?
Oh, gender has nothing to do with it. I think Bruno Mars, if he were pregnant, he would have rocked it too. I mean, he would have like, he's just that kind of performer where
Right.
he sucks you in by his charisma and his dynamic
Okay.
essence and his passion for the music. I'm not saying Rihanna doesn't have a passion for the music, but her style is such that it just feels like she doesn't give a shit. And that works for a lot of people. For me, I want to be ignited and excited when I see a performer. And
So if
that's just me, personal preference. That's it.
yeah. So there's someone else that's kind of like edgy, but a male. That's kind of like a Rihanna. I kind of put them in the two insofar as their attitude. It's like
Yeah.
Eminem. So Eminem comes out, and he doesn't dance, but he walks and stalks. But he's like a angry kind of. So would you want, like, what's the difference there? If he
No,
was,
that's an interesting question. I think it boils down to passion. I think Eminem has an intensity about him and a passion. And I never feel like, okay, so maybe maybe it's not that he doesn't give a shit, he doesn't give a fuck.
right?
And it's intensity about it.
Yeah,
And I think Rihanna is kind of in the middle there.
in the middle. So not really
There's
pulling
no,
all the stops, pulling all
yes,
the stops, or whatever the saying is.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just missing that slight bit of edge and passion for me. But my God, she's a billionaire. What do I know? What
Right.
really? I mean, really, what do I know? You know,
So
it's like
so
she's
the
up there
second
doing
thing
it.
is, and this gets into something that I'm struggling with when I look at these strong, okay, millionaire, billionaires that are up there ready to be criticized in a way. Like, she's pregnant, right? So, and it's not like what you're saying. I'm seeing all these kind of trolls and comments on
Mhm.
social about, oh, she just phoned it in. Um, she look at the bump. Why did she didn't dance enough? She's like, whatever. And it's like, when does this end? When someone, like, at what point in your life can women stop having to prove themselves?
Well, and especially, making excuses because she was pregnant. Look, you and I have both been pregnant. I
Yep.
birthed my baby at 48. That's no small feat.
That's a whole different podcast right there.
That's a
We
whole
need to
different
come back to that
podcast. We do, and we'll get into that on my show.
one. Love
Um,
it.
but I think, we can use that as a disability or a asset, depending. It's all
Mm,
how you frame. Everything's about how you frame it.
mm,
Uh, I don't ever want to give her an out just because she's pregnant. If that were the case, then she shouldn't be on stage. They should have picked somebody else, right? If it's going to be a disability, it's like you get up there, you do what she did, you rock it, you just own it.
mhm.
And we don't use it as but she's this. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not making a lot of sense, but that's what I would say is like, I think we use pregnancy as an excuse, and then
Yeah,
sometimes moms get on the martyr bandwagon but I'm pregnant. I mean, I
yeah. And
know
I don't
it's
think
if
she did that. I mean,
no, I
first
don't
of all,
either.
apparently she didn't get paid for it. So I think that happens. It's like people like, and secondly, what, you're going to say something there?
No, I was just going to say, no, they don't get paid. Performers don't get paid, but
Well,
I believe it was Fox that sponsors or no, Apple paid her. So they don't
oh,
get
I see.
paid directly from Super Bowl and there's a
Right.
lot of Fox. I forget who pays for all of the technical expenses,
True.
but I
Yeah,
think she got paid from Apple, I
got
believe.
it.
I don't
And
know.
I think that that's the piece, though, is like, I mean, she didn't certainly like put her pregnancy, it was part of her act. So
Yeah.
I guess, so just switching gears now, I'd love to kind of hear a little bit more about you. Um,
I'm not Rihanna, but
no,
whatever. We can chat. I'm not a
no,
billionaire. I'll get up and rock my postpartum baby bump for you. There it
Oh
is.
my God, she just showed her belly.
You didn't need to see that, did you? You just had lunch.
Thank you. Great belly, by the way.
Thank you.
Uh,
It's gonna be better after I do my CrossFit, but you know, right now it's there. There's a lot happening there. Anyway, what were you gonna ask me?
no, it's good. CrossFit, wow. Yeah, I've been working on CrossFit. It's a hard one. But I'm gonna get there. Have you been in a situation where you feel you rocked it? You did so good and you've got like just a wealth of experience, but you felt like I really brought this on, but you got criticized for whatever, they, them deciding to criticize you. And how did you respond to that? And you know, you could feel free to share with me like the hard part of it, and then how you overcame it later, because I know that there's a lot of emotions around that. Can you pick a time where when that happened to you?
That's a really, really good question. I tend to be the kind of person that isn't satisfied easily, especially creatively.
Okay.
So I can count probably on my one hand how many times I've actually felt like I have gone to that place and really just nailed it.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay, so the first step for you is to actually feel like you actually were
yeah,
successful in that moment.
yeah, because I
That's
don't.
there.
I
Oh,
don't. Even I have to be surprised. Someone will have to tell me, and even then, I'm not convinced. So I really struggle with two things. I struggle with self-criticism, the gremlin that says,
mhm.
that's not enough, you're not enough, blah, blah, blah. And I struggle also, let's see, what was it? Gremlin with self-criticism. Oh, inadequacy, right? But then also this imposter syndrome.
Right,
Like if I have to pretend.
right.
So those are things that I've really, really, really been challenged with in my personal life, and then as an artist, creator. So it's kind
So
of the
it's so funny
opposite
that
for
you've
me.
said that, because
Mhm.
you've done so many amazing things. I mean, I could give you. You're saying five things you think you could have been feeling successful about, and I can give you, knowing you, I could give you at least 25 you've been like internationally successful in.
And
So such
I
a
look
comparison.
at that. I look at that and I think this is normal, but it's something I've really been examining, this sense of uh I don't want to say inferiority, but not inferiority. I guess it's just that inadequacy. And I got a fortune cookie one time. No, a horoscope. My husband was so sweet. I had just finished my Marlene Dietrich stage show, right? I mean, and I pulled out all the stops with that, and it was like a big deal for me to write that,
Oh,
to
it's such a fantastic show.
produce it and direct it, and then star in it. Like this was a big mountain that I climbed. And I finished that and I was just feeling like it wasn't good enough.
Ah,
And all of that stuff. And my husband gave me a horoscope, and it was, I'm not into horoscopes, but this one was so poignant. It was like a divine gift. And it was basically, in a nutshell, turn intimidation into inspiration.
mm,
It's just that flip of that IN word around, don't be intimidated, be inspired by people. And that stuck with me. And that helped me flip things around and recognize that, can I get out of my own way for a hot minute and actually stop caring about how I'm doing and
yeah,
get into the story that I'm telling, get into the emotions that I'd like people to feel, the feelings that I'm wanting them to have, and other people's experience for a minute. And once I did that, then things started to shift for me. But I can't tell you that I still don't battle those feelings.
right.
And so I guess to your point, long-windedly, I would say it's the reverse for me. It's when somebody actually compliments me on something and said, that was extraordinary, or that made me feel this way. where I really have to absorb it and go, okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah.
And know that I've made an impact. Otherwise, I just dive into the dark places, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean,
Does that answer your question at
I
all?
would say that I mean you answered it differently, which is kind of surprising, knowing, to be honest, how confident you come across.
It's this is what I'm talking about. You know, that whole fake it till you make it,
Mm.
feeling like I have to be confident. People cannot see me sweat or see me soften or vulnerable. You know, the vulnerability is weakness kind of thing. And so I have to present a um, certain persona. And I think that that's how it used to be. And I think I've grown into my confidence. I think now I'm just getting older
Yeah,
and recognizing I care way less than I used to.
yeah.
And I remember being on tour with Eric Idle. I can't remember if this was the first or second tour. I think it was the first one, my dear, because you and I did the second tour together. And the first one, we were on a plane. And the second one, we were on a bus.
Oh, okay.
So this was,
I only got the bus
you
tour.
got the bus and truck tour. That's why it was called the Greedy Bastard Tour. But the first one was, we flew, it was first class all the way, all that kind of stuff. So I remember being on a plane and we were bound for Seattle, and Eric Idle turns to the cast and the musicians, and he said, "Now listen, I don't want anybody to tell me anything about the reviews, bad or good, when they come out, okay? Because I'm right in the middle of honing this show and I don't want to be swayed
Right,
one way or another."
right.
And that made an impact, a profound impact on me, because, don't believe your own press. You hear that whole saying. It's like, because if you do, the good press will inflate you, the bad press will deflate you. Either way, you're not solid. You're not centered. You're wobbly. Makes you wobbly.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I've always been taught, even by my father, of letting things roll off your back, uh,
Yeah,
duck's back. Like when water drops on a duck's back, it just rolls off. So I love
right.
that saying, and and not buying into the press, whether it's good or bad, but being able to just trust in yourself, because it can easily get you sidetracked. You start thinking, oh, how did I go? And that stops your performance. In the moment, like when you have to perform like a quarterback in football. Let's go back to Super Bowl for a minute. Like having to you can't have your coach you while you've got the ball running down the field. You can only do that in retrospect,
Right.
after the game. But in the game, all you have to think about is the tactics and the game itself. That's all. You can't be distracted by what other people think, what people think of you. You have to focus on the game. And
Mhm.
then there's a time for critique and improvement, and even then, it needs to be in a safe space with people that you
Yeah.
trust,
Yeah.
because you can't trust the followers on social to say, "Oh, she didn't dance enough." Like that is not like so you just can't even look at that, right? You got to stay close to your own confidence level, otherwise it'll pull you right down.
And you also have to remember, and I'm going to pull up this quote that I love so much. As artists, I think what gives me great comfort is the arena. That's the quote. What gives me great comfort is when I am creating, I'm actually in the arena. I'm doing it. I'm
Yeah,
doing something. I'm not on the sidelines.
yeah,
I think that the critiquers are the ones on the sidelines. How many people actually, we all have opinions, right? How many people actually could do what Rihanna did?
right. Exactly.
I
It's
mean,
usually the ones who can't and never will that are the first to criticize
yeah,
anybody, right?
yeah,
And that can be their own stuff, a whole different ball of wax of envy. I wish I was that person. I wish I could, and their own self worth.
yeah,
And so usually, like bullies at school, bullies pick on kids because they are either jealous or they've got their own stuff going on, that the only thing that they can do to lash out is to hurt someone else, right?
right. And you know that mediocrity attacks excellence. We hear that a lot. And so I think that's keeping that in mind. Like, am I doing my best? And if you can answer that confidently and honestly and saying, I did my best.
Mm.
And if I think no matter what, if you're doing it and you're giving it your all and you're trying your very best, that's all we can do.
Well, that's right, and doing your best, you have to block out the naysayers.
Yeah.
You have to block out the critics, both the outside and from within. Because if we don't focus in on doing our best performance, or as we say to our son, who's a baseball player, like he has to, he's in fourth grade and he has to pick it up at school right now.
Mhm.
He's an amazing baseballer. So we're using the analogy, you got to go to school like you're preparing for a tournament, right?
Oh, does that work for him?
Oh yeah, totally.
Nice.
Bed's made, homework's done. Yeah, it's all changed. And I think it's the mindset of focusing on it being your best performance. But I think also from a criticism point of view, um, and he really takes criticism pretty well. My son, who's like 9, we can give him like, "Hey, you didn't do the homework, da da da," and he's like, "Oh, okay." Like he doesn't like take it personally, and it's like that's a hard one. So going back to uh, these female archetypes, just kind of wrap it up here. Someone like a Rihanna who is representing like the echelon of music business, or if you were in a position of power in business for a woman who, let me tell you, there's been, I've, so many studies and I've interviewed these folks of imposter syndrome and they're like the COO, CEO, head of,
Yeah. Yeah.
like how do we how do we how do we move on from that and own our power and own our strength and not care so much? And I was wondering if there's an example, as much as you've told me, wow, this is what you deal with as in your own life. Do you have an example of where you felt like, yeah, I was able to overcome that, and this is what I created? I mean, you've got a
Well,
lot of examples, but you want to give me one of them.
well, the Marlene Dietrich stage show. This, I had this idea based on her life. This was, how many years ago? Long time ago. Um, and I just had to overcome that gremlin to get through and service my vision
Mm.
for telling her story. And I think if we get out of our own way and we realize that it really isn't about us, we're conduits. And what are we channeling? And then, imparting on people. Like that's what it's about. So I think it's a real shift in that. And when I'm on that and I take that to heart, then I lighten it up and things aren't so serious and I don't care so much what people think because I have no vested interest in their
Yeah.
opinions of me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, it's not about me, guys. It's about what I'm telling you or what I'm sharing with you or the story. It's about this story. And yeah, that's kind of the shift in the
Yeah.
mental mindset, I guess.
And that was a great show. You wrote this amazing show. The performance was extraordinary and it's unique and it's about a strong female in history, which you
Yeah,
get to do in your
huge.
project.
I do. I do because I grew up in a household where that was suppressed. My dad, God rest his soul, love him very, very much, but he was very sexist. He was born in 1926. He was a World War II Marine. He was a cowboy and a survivalist, and he was of the ilk that a woman's place was in the kitchen. So I
Mhm.
grew up defying that notion. I mean, he point blank said, "You're going to go to college to find a husband because your greatest lot in life is to be a wife and a mother." And
Which is
while that
fine, but
it's yeah,
and that's it.
that's fine. And that is a great lot in life, but it's
Yeah.
not everything. And so when you're told that that's all there is, I think that's a really damaging narrative. But what it did for me, the blessing of it all, is it made me a fierce, not angry, excited feminist, irrespective of gender, to really love and understand and appreciate the challenges that we go through when we're oppressed, and how that is fuel to rise above and be even better and stronger.
Mm.
And so it's helped me kind of carve out this niche for creating work that promotes female driven stories
Yeah.
that have largely been kind of lost or forgotten or not illuminated throughout history. And Marlena was the first foray into that. I'd never created my own show before. And so this was really a tapestry of narrative, song, and images that wove together her life through film and music. And it was just super fun, but scary as hell to do. And, then it became about learning how to write screenplays and bringing that to the film world.
Mhm.
Not knowing how to do that, still not really knowing how to do that, but learning. And then writing another story about the first and greatest female fighter pilot in history.
Mhm. Mm.
And then, writing a Western with a Black female lead about, Black women in history. And like, I don't know, it's just a common theme that I have.
Mm.
Now we have another one that I'm working on with my writing partner, and she's equally as badass. And I fall in love with all of them. And I'm like, how come I did not know you existed? Right. But it wasn't the selections. It wasn't what we were handed down. And so I want to do what I can if I ever figure out how to make movies and bring things to life for a bigger audience, which is in and of itself a whole other podcast we can do. But I just want to change how that's being done. I want to be able to have, my daughter who's 3 now, have it not be an anomaly to see herself in these different types of roles. I want her to know that she can have, be, or do anything that she
Mhm.
sets her mind to. And there is not going to be a glass ceiling, and I mean, this might be pie in the sky optimism, but by the time she gets to be 18, I really do hope that we see huge, significant changes, even more so than we have in the past.
Yeah, I mean, it's just constantly evolving. Although I feel like we went back in time in the last couple of weeks, um, and I sent a post out on LinkedIn about this. I was really upset. There's been these tech layoffs right now.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Quite a bit.
Thousands, tens of thousands of
Hmm.
folks, and there was this one woman, I won't name names, but she was like the head of people or learning. She was like a real leader of this tech company. Then she was laid off, and
Hmm.
it just rocked me. I kind of cracked, and I said, I just feel like we've gone back in time where we're laying off women, also women who are on maternity leave
Mm.
or have just delivered their babies who've been laid off in the recent tech layoffs. Which I don't understand how that's actually legal in America. Like it's not legal in England. You can't do that. In
Look,
any case,
in Slovakia, you get 3 years.
that's amazing.
Like
Yeah,
it's messed up in this country how
so
little
messed up.
bonding time we have. But anyway, keep going.
Yeah.
What were you saying? I'm
No, no.
sorry.
I made this quote, this comment about like how we're going back in time and we're firing the wrong people. Like if we don't have these people in companies that are taking care of learning development
Oh,
and
I see what you're saying. It's
people.
it's not that she was a woman.
No,
It
no,
was
no,
right,
no.
right, right.
It was that as as a strong female leader, um, who's taking care of people, which is the foundation of a company. Without people, we don't have a business.
Well,
It was just shocking,
I
shocking.
th- I think the reason for that and what has to completely fundamentally shift is we have to value the nurture mentality and put that on par with the aggressive masculine approach to business. And I'm not saying men I'm not saying that men are the masculine approach. I'm just saying the masculine approach in general. We have to value the feminine approach
Yes,
way more than we do
that's right.
in the workforce. So
That's right.
that paradigm has to shift.
Yeah,
And until that shifts, then that's going to get cut out. You know, people who cry, people who are vulnerable, people who express their feelings, they share. We do roundtable discussions. You know, that's all stuff that's considered weak. It's not promoted. It's not
Yeah,
valued enough.
strategies of providing value, like in performance ratings at work. How do you show that you've provided impact? And especially if you're in a people-led kind of job, it's harder than saying, "Oh, I shipped this product," or "I launched this," so there's all that too. So you're touching on this is a whole different topic. But it's great. But yeah, so I guess so. I want to wrap up. I've got two questions. I'm going to ask you. This is kind of a personal one. I do it to all my
Oh, you little pill.
and then there's another personal one to wrap it up. But the first one is, since you know my music,
yes, I do.
We're gonna go listen to one of my songs.
Yay! Can I pick, or have you already picked it?
Yeah. So which song of mine would you like me to play? And then we'll come back for a wrap up with another question.
All right. You have so many, and I have been privileged to sing backups for you and to be with you when you're actually crafting a song, which was about me, but that wasn't my favorite one. So I'm not going to pick that one. No, because I know too intimately what that one was about. Well, one of my favorites, because it's so poignant, is Hollywood.
Good one.
I really love that song. It's very catchy, but it's got a profundity to it that or profoundness or whatever the word is. That it's so simple, but it's so profound. And I once had a friend when I came to LA in 1992 say, LA asks you to leave every day. And I think for a very long time I believed that. And then I left the business and I got into academia and met my husband and all of that, and then circled back with a completely different mindset. And I realized that yes, LA can ask you to leave, especially as a creator, but you have to get to the point where you don't, and you not only don't leave, but you do it on your terms.
That's right.
And so I think this song, what I love about it, it kind of sums all of that up for me. So that's the song.
All right, well, let's go and listen to my song Hollywood by Gilli Moon. Here we go.
I landed in Hollywood, and here I have stood, where I can be me. I've dreamed all of these years, and worked through my fears, to be the best I can be. Some time has passed, I've arrived at last, to a place of clarity. Heart is torn apart between illusion and real. I don't wanna be far from you, I'm missing you in Hollywood. I don't wanna be wasting my time without you by my side in Hollywood. Could be taking my time, watching the signs till they all believe. Maybe I'm faking I'm fine, saving my dignity. I my greatest story is I'm still here. I don't wanna be far from you. I'm missing you in Hollywood. I don't wanna be wasting my time without you by my side in Hollywood. In Hollywood. 'Cause you know I've been searching, and you know I never turn my back on you. But I've been waiting for my resurrection. So come on, save me from this fantasy. Tell me I don't need to be here anymore. In Hollywood, in Hollywood, in Hollywood. Yeah, 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 yeah. In Hollywood, in Hollywood, in Hollywood. How will my story end? Do I have to pretend? Will I see from afar that no matter the place or the change in my face, I'll always feel like a rock star? I don't wanna be far from you. I'm missing you in Hollywood. I don't wanna be wasting my time without you by my side in Hollywood. 'Cause no one will be there if I fall. They're all busy answering their own calls in Hollywood. So if I say goodbye, don't cry. 'Cause I'll always love you. I'll always belong to you, singing my songs of you. My Hollywood, Hollywood, in Hollywood.
In Hollywood,
In Hollywood, in Hollywood. Oh my gosh, I love that song so much.
Yeah.
When did you write? I can't remember when you wrote that and what
Um,
the impetus for that song was.
I wrote it in Hollywood. I was doing a lot of gigs at the time,
Uh-huh.
in and out of tours, and
Hmm.
I was homesick. I was like, do I want to go back to Australia?
Right.
What am I doing here? All of my own imposter syndrome shit. What will I ever make it? Will this be? How am I going to survive? Da, da, da. Who cares? Who
Well,
cares?
the answer to that is nobody and
No,
and
I really like
everybody,
that one.
right? It's like when you accept the fact that nobody actually really cares.
Yeah, not really.
Not
But you have to
really.
do it. You have to do it for yourself.
Yeah, you
I
do.
think that's the end. I've always felt that, like, at the end of the day, the reason why I do what I do is for me. And you've got to be okay. You've got to do it for you first. Like, not because you want the fans or you want the kudos or you want the compliment or the whoa, she's amazing. And yeah, no, it's nice to get the money too, but not even for that. It's got to be because of art for art's sake. And that's what kept me going.
Yes,
And then it
it
didn't.
it does. It does have to be for you, but then at some point in that process, you have to invite people in. You have to invite people in and be open and vulnerable enough in your work to do that. Otherwise, it's not going to speak to people. And then what? And then who really cares in that?
Yeah,
Anyway,
you're
we're
in
getting
your living
deep.
room. Like, if you're not going to actually share it, what's the point?
Right.
Yeah. So, so my last question to you is, and by the way, it's been wonderful that you've been here with me.
Likewise. Thanks for doing this and having me and all of it.
You're welcome. Great conversation. We got through the Rihanna stage. We got through a little bit about how to handle criticism, both the outside, the inside. Wow, that was the imposter syndrome. We talked about. I love that saying that your husband said to you: intimidation into inspiration.
Shift your perspective on that. Yeah, big.
Make it till you make it. Do it for yourself. Get out of your own way. I mean, so many little isms coming out of your mouth was amazing.
What is making it? That's what I want to know. I want to define what is making it. What does that mean? It's how we define success. And if you're constantly looking and there's conditions around it, you're just never going to be happy. Yeah. So anyway, that's another thing we can talk about.
Success. I do talk a lot about success, and that's a good one. But it even comes into like this self-criticism or doubt or imposter and criticism, because, like, for example, going back to Rihanna, what is she truly trying to achieve? We were all expecting her to put on the big Super Bowl show because that's what we want, right? And so for some reason, some think that she didn't do what, the expectation was. And I think that's a theme. It's like, well, did she have to? Like, maybe.
Right. Is it her responsibility to do that as an artist?
She's been invited to perform herself, like be her. This was her being her. So, yeah, interesting.
Yeah, very.
So what's next for you? I want us to talk about that. What's next for you?
That's such a loaded question. I mean, because
pick one.
I am right now I'm going through a big shift, especially as a creator. I've taken a few years to be a mom and immerse myself in that world and not put my creative stuff on a back burner, because here's the thing. I have
go around the imposter syndrome.
No, I have
leave that person off for a minute.
I just got an intuitive hit. I have put off my creativity for a while. I haven't put off the hustling and the selling. That's what I want to give a break to next. And I want to get into creating more.
Oh, good.
So that's really going to look like finishing the book that I've wanted to write for a long time. It's this finishing that's next for me. And I'm in the throes of that right now. I'm about to start a big new business endeavor that I can't talk too much about. And that I dive into that at the end of the month. And then that's going to be a whole new focus. And, I'm kind of going to shelve the film stuff for a little while, because that's trying to hustle and get a film made is completely counterproductive to the creating of the film and the stuff that
business and hustling.
Yeah, a lot of hustling and kissing ass and all of that stuff. And that's depleting energetically. And so for me, I need to fill my cup up as a creator some more. And so I'm going to shift gears into that and focus less on the selling.
So you're going to write a book?
Yeah, I'm going to write a book.
And what else? Is that your main focus next?
And launching this business that has to do with the book.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and it's all to serve mature moms, which I'm so excited. I say mature moms with a tongue-in-cheek wink, because my book is geared specifically for geriatric moms, and I'm just excited to pop that wide open, because we're so unique and such unicorns, and we so need a lot of love and support, especially, going through IVF and all of that stuff. So I'm excited to really dive into that and have a lot of fun and bring some humor to that.
We'll definitely get back when you're ready to promote that.
Okay, let's do it. And I want to finish my musical. I want to dive into that creatively. I have a musical that I want to finish, and loving up on my baby girl. Those kinds of things.
She's absolutely adorable.
She is. She's beautiful.
Lily,
And
she's 3
she's
years
a
old.
light to me. So personal stuff, I think. Personal and birthing creative projects. That's what I really want to focus on. And
Well, we're going to keep you accountable because that's what we do. So
okay. All right. So
come
the
back
next
and see how that all went.
I love it. And, to everybody out there who's creating and doing remarkable stuff, even if it's only you that thinks that, then just keep going. Just keep
I was going
going.
to say, what's your golden nugget? And that's it right
That's
there.
it.
Keep
I don't know
going.
I don't know how golden it is, but it's that's what I've learned is like I will create until I die.
Hmm.
That is part of who I am. It's in my DNA. I think we all have it.
Wonderful.
So you have to, I think, get to a place where you just keep doing that for the joy of it, irrespective of if it sells. I don't know if this book's going to do any good. I don't really care. I know that I need to write it.
It's going to
So
be great.
that's all.
Jennifer Julian, it has been a pleasure to have a conversation with you. Where can people find you if you want them to find you at all?
No. I don't.
It's the secret sauce. When she's ready, she's going to come out.
Yeah, I don't need to be found right now. I'm pretty good with being under the radar, and you'll know it. When I have something to say, you'll know it. I'll hit you up to promote you on all your millions of followers that you have. So all good.
Good. All right, Jennifer. Thanks
right.
for having a conversation. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Gilli. Love you.
Come and join us at TheCrea8ve.com, CREA8ve.com, or find us on social. Or find me, Gilli Moon. See you soon.